Sometime along our pathway, we have to take a pause. Things come up, things that we don't expect, we can't control. And sometimes that pause then leads to us needing to restart. We're going to talk a little bit about pathway restarts, the benefits, and more on episode 779 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Tried whistling it. Not as good.
That's a judgment.
Just trying to shake it up. There you go. So
Fair enough. How are you doing this morning?
I am good. We're dressed the same as we were yesterday because we actually recorded this.
You realize that people on the podcast have no idea what we're wearing?
Yeah. But the people watching will.
They will.
I don't want people to think that we both were like out all night and couldn't get back to our houses. At least I don't want them thinking about that with me. But if you were like that, that's up to you. Hey.
Fair enough.
You roll Tom way.
It's just the way that's real in the moment. That's all.
That's it.
All right. Well, good morning and welcome everyone to today's Antidote. As Bob mentioned, we are recording this. We had some conflicts come up for tomorrow morning. And so we are going to record this episode. All week long, we are talking about your pathway restart. And today we're going to dive into the benefits, as I mentioned at the start of the show. And if you're a little bit uncertain about what a pathway restart is, while we discussed what it means on Monday's episode, I'm not sure we had complete clarity on it, although I still think there's value in that show. Uh-huh. And yesterday, I think I was able to share that provided a little more clarity about what a restart might look like. And so today, we talked about the challenges yesterday. Today, we're going to discuss the benefits. As we go through that conversation, if you have thoughts or ideas that you would like to share, please feel free to put them in the comments. Even though we can't respond to them during the show because we're recording it, we will come back and respond to them afterwards. And
as might others.
Well, hopefully they would do that even if we were live on this. Anyhow, so please feel free to share your value because we know that it'll have an impact on someone else. And then at the conclusion of our conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote, that thing that we hope will help you figure out how to take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. And of course, if you have a one thing you'd like to share, please feel free to share it. Even if you think, everybody already is aware of this, they might not be. So please feel free to share your value because it will likely impact someone you never could imagine to. Before we dive into the conversation, though, each morning, Bob and I share our celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I am celebrating that yesterday afternoon with my new Hoka running shoes, I was able to go out for a run because it was nice and warm and sunny, and it's starting to feel and look like spring here in the Baltimore area. I saw flowers blooming, the where the crocuses, they're coming out of the ground, and there are buds on some of the trees. I think Puxatawny Phil just didn't get it right this year.
Well, careful. I happened to be looking. I pulled up Facebook today, whatever. And just so happens that in my memories, this was the day of a huge snowstorm that we had. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. I remember I was at a Loyola lacrosse game, and it was cool and clear when the game started. Around a little before halftime, it started snowing and kept snowing and kept snowing. And I remember it took me 2 hours. So for those of you who are familiar with Baltimore, to go from Loyola's athletic facilities, which are on Cold Spring Road, up 83 to my house, which is probably a total of about
20 miles. 15
maybe,
miles?
probably 15 to 18. Took me 2 hours. That's
It
what
would
my
normally take what, about 20, 25 minutes?
easy,
Yeah.
maybe less.
Yeah.
And my wife was coming back from a lacrosse game in DC, and the 95 and 695, all that was a mess. And so she literally I was able to get on the computer, find a hotel, and she could get to the exit so she could get off, go to the hotel, spend the night, and then the next day the weather was better. So you just never know what could
Yeah,
happen. Those things
it
we can't
happens.
control.
It happens.
It does. It does. It does. Well, anyhow, that's good. Although I thought you liked running in the rain.
I do like running in the rain. Um, but not cold rain. I like warm rain.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So,
Fair
what
enough.
about you? What are you celebrating today?
Well, what I'm going to celebrate today is the ability. We talked a little bit yesterday about priorities and having priorities and the value of establishing those. Is that I have a business that allows me to sometimes prioritize things differently. So today I am able to prioritize a lacrosse game that I have to officiate. I officiate girls and women's lacrosse that happens to start at 2 and it's about 3 hours away. So I'm leaving in a few minutes to meet up with my other officials, and we're going to drive, do a game, and come back.
What city or state or town is it in?
It's in Laredo, Pennsylvania. St. Francis University.
Oh, I was going to guess St. Francis. Yep.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that you were.
No, I was just playing in my head.
Yep.
Who are they playing?
No idea. Can't remember. I had it, and then maybe.
Sorry. Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't really matter for what you're doing.
Doesn't. Yeah, as long as I know where I'm going and what time the game starts, that's what really is.
Well, hopefully the weather cooperates for you.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be great. So it's supposed to be rainy and cold. So I'll be running outside rainy and cold tomorrow.
Yeah.
Although rumor has it Thursday is supposed to be absolutely gorgeous. So
yes, that's, in this area, that's why here. And then, of course, parts of the country are getting walloped by snow. The northern part of the country seems to be getting a band of snow that's worked west to east. And
so maybe that's what Puxatawny Phil was talking about.
That's right.
The winter was going to last for 6 more weeks.
He should really specify by, area.
Yes, because I believe that probably in Florida, it's been in the 70s since February 2nd. Maybe.
Yeah, I was there in mid-January. It didn't get to the 70s till the last day we were there.
Well, that was January.
Yeah.
I don't know. I say it's the first day of February. So.
And spring training's starting this week. So that's always a sign that warm weather's coming.
Eventually. Yes, indeed.
All right. Shall we tackle this topic, Tom?
Why not? Let's dive into the benefits about a pathway restart.
Before we do that, can you really briefly, concisely tell us what a pathway restart is in like 3 sentences? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if my response, which is yes, is one of those sentences. I guess that's a question.
No, I'll give you an extra. You can even take 6 sentences. I just wanted it. Yes, yesterday's program you explained it very well, but it took a couple of minutes. So I'm hoping that as you compress it, it starts to become clearer to me and to others.
Yes, so I think that it goes a little bit lower. The opening is that there are times, usually following a checkpoint, when we make a decision to pause. It may be because of change in our resources. It might be a change in priorities. It might be something external impacts us. A family member gets sick, something else happens, and we have to hit the pause button. The pathway restart is us deciding, okay, now the situation has changed and I am ready to restart along the same pathway.
Okay.
That makes sense? Is that clear enough?
Yes. And I think the other thing to add to it is you're going to restart along the same pathway, knowing all the information that you've acquired from that effort that you're abandoning. So it's not like that goes away.
I don't know that you're abandoning the effort. You're just pausing it.
Pausing. Okay. So,
with the intention to come back to it. I think that's the thing, is
right,
that at some point, there is, I don't want to confuse people anymore. There is, you could be abandoned, the whole idea,
right.
and be like, there's no way I'm coming back to this whatsoever. I'm going to have to consider another destination and a new pathway. I still believe in what I'm doing. I just need, it's still a priority. It just has dropped in priority. And I know I'm going to come back to it. Or at least
Okay. I like it. Okay. So now let's talk about the benefits of this pathway restart. I actually wrote some notes yesterday. First of all, the pause brings us an opportunity for more clarity. And by that, I mean, when we pause from doing something, we tend to step away from it. And as we step away from it, we see it differently. If you're in the middle of the forest, it's really hard to see which way the trees, where the trees stop. But if you step back from that forest and look at the trees, like, oh, wow, if I go 30 paces to the right, I can get out of this forest. And so having that ability to step back, and I think it's very natural that we step back. I find that, one of the ways that I pause microscopically, it's not a big pause usually, but it's a pause in my day, is if I go running in the middle of the day, it's a pause, and I will come back from a run and be like, oh, this is what that email needs to say. Or here's a marketing idea that I've got, because I'm stepping away from it. I'm worried about running, not getting run over, how my cadence is, my breathing, and I'm not thinking about it directly. So it gives my brain a chance to sort of just process without going, I got to get a new email done. I got to get a new email done. My brain's going, this guy thinks he can run at his age. What a fool. And so as I'm doing that running, my brain's percolating and doing that. And I find great ideas come up all the time when I'm running, when I'm showering, when I'm putting away the dishes, when I'm walking, when I'm in a new city, because my brain is processing other information very directly. And so it can allow that information that's consumed so much of my thought to just sort of, run through the mental computer, trying to figure out without trying to figure it out. When you try to solve the riddle, that's kind of the hardest thing, right? It's like I can't remember what they were. Remember they had those pictures maybe 10, 15 years ago where if you stared at it for long enough, you would see the image in it.
Yes.
But they said to just like really just stare at it. Don't think about it. Don't look for the image. It's kind of what a pause does in this, pathway pause does that in this regard. When you stop thinking about what you're trying to do, I think that's when there's an opportunity to really process what you've done and what's going on, and to connect dots that you might not otherwise connect. I also think it allows for you to look at external resources in a different way, because so often when I'm mired in doing something, I'm not thinking about who can help me. But when I pause and someone asks me about, hey, I thought you were trying to get this done. Oh yeah, but I took a little pause here. Like, I know someone who can help you with that. And so I tend to get mired in something so microscopically, so tightly. I don't want or look for outside resources. So I have to be very conscious of it. You don't hear me very often ask you to look at presentations I'm doing. If you mention it, it'll be, oh yeah, Tom, that'd be great. But rarely do I solicit that, because when I'm in that zone, I'm not thinking about external resources. I'm in the get it done Bob mode, for better or worse. I'm not saying that's great, but I think that's one of the things that happens. And when we have that pause, it's a chance to step back and go, wow, Tom's so much better at graphics than me. I really need this graphic. I wonder if Tom would do this graphic for me, because it would really make this presentation a whole lot better for me. And Tom could probably do it in 15 minutes. It's going to take me 3 hours. And I'll return the favor to Tom somehow or not. And I think that's another thing we get to have. And I'm always surprised when I give a presentation. I don't know if you experience this when you give a presentation to a group, but you'll be talking if you're in person, and you'll look at someone who's scribbling notes feverishly, and you'll realize it can't possibly be about what you're talking about, because you're not imparting such wisdom. But because they've let their mind get free, they're actually processing something else, and they had a brilliant idea that they don't want to lose.
Or you just judged them, or yourself and the value of what you're providing.
No, I know this happens to me a lot. I think it happens to other people as well. You're at a conference, so you're away from your normal work desk on a Tuesday or Wednesday or some other day, and you're not thinking about all the work stuff. And suddenly you're like, oh man, I've gotten 8 calls, and all 8 calls were about this thing. Huh. I should check that out when I get back. Maybe we have a production problem, or maybe our directions are unclear, or maybe our website's not conveying the information the way we thought it was. And you don't get the chance to connect those dots until you step back and get away from it. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting, and I, as you were talking, I was trying to separate the pause and our restart. I was trying to think about that, and if that's possible, or is the benefit of the restart the fact that you took the pause? I think that's it was just interesting. It was going through my head as well. Is he talking about the benefits of the pause or the benefits of the restart? And can you separate those?
You raise a really good point. I don't know that you can separate them. But I offer you the opportunity right now. If you'd like to try to give the benefits of the restart, I'm all ears, because I think it's a tall order.
Well, I think one of the benefits of the restart is it's an opportunity to recommit to something that you had committed to, and that you allowed priorities to shift, and now you've been able to shift them again, which is allowing you the opportunity to restart this. So to me, the restart is a little bit about a recommitment to where you're at, because people take pauses and sometimes don't give one thought to what it was they were working on, because they've now, while they intended to get back, they never did, or something else started providing the results they were looking for, or some other benefit that chased them in that direction. And so I think there is a difference. I mean, there's things that you do, like the restart to me is a recommitment that, yes, this is what I want to do.
Okay.
Granted, you do take, if you've done this, you can leverage what you have learned during the pause if you chose to spend any time thinking about it at all. I can imagine there are times when there are pauses and we don't think about, again, you think about the extreme. If you had a family member get really sick and you were spending all time caring for them, yeah, maybe you would think about some of that, and likely you might not. You might just say, hey, you know what? I just have to put everything on pause because I need to focus on this. This is my priority. And so I come back, and yes, we have gained other knowledge, experience, and perspective. It just might not be knowledge, experience, or perspective around our original pathway. And I think the restart, the benefit of it is a recommitment to something that you at one point believed in,
or place value on, right?
Place value on, correct. And you want to get back to that. Because you could always not choose to do it. I mean,
right.
We were talking about fitness yesterday, and so I have a gym membership, and I mentioned how when the pandemic hit, I had to take a pause on my fitness, and I know it was impacted. Added to the fact that my daughter came home and started baking, and that had an impact as well. I could have chosen, hey, you know what? I like eating this kind of food. I like not having to go beat myself up at a gym every day. I'm not going back.
Right.
And I think that can be okay as long as we don't judge it.
Right.
I just think the restart, one of the benefits of the restart is that, yes, we take everything we have gained with us. The restart is just a recommitment, I believe.
I like that. I don't know if I answered the right thing then, but okay.
Well, again, I don't know. That was why the question came up is can you separate the two? Can you find a benefit in the restart, or is the benefit only in that there was a pause?
Right.
The restart may just be the natural next step, and that you have chosen that. And I guess maybe that is the one benefit of one of the benefits of a restart is it's a choice. We get
Right.
to choose. Is this the direction we want to go or not? Or we're going to do something different. And hopefully those decisions are made based on the information we gathered during the pause, or maybe during a checkpoint. It was interesting. One of the things I was thinking about when we first started this, and we were talking about the pause part, is if you make that choice to make a pause, it would be a really good, it would be a, I think, impactful decision to decide on a new checkpoint.
Yes.
So I've chosen to take this pause. Okay, well, rather than just feel like, I took this pause and some emotional reaction is going to cause me to restart or bail, that I intentionally set out a time frame by, okay, at this point, whatever that point might be, I'm going to reevaluate, remeasure where I'm at, and then make another choice. I could stay the course, I could pivot, I could course adjust, or I could restart, or keep pausing.
So I guess what you're really saying in a sense is that it's an opportunity. One of the benefits of that pathway reset is that you recommit. Much like, I guess when you're married and you see these things when people have been married 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years where they have a recommitment ceremony and they get together and they say in front of their friends, hey, this is the person I still want to be with after all these years. And it's a way to sort of reestablish that connection in case I guess I'm not qualified to speak to it because I don't think that's in my future. I could almost guarantee it, but you get the idea. And I think it's the same thing with a priority. You probably will recommit to your book at some point down the road.
I'll restart.
It might be tomorrow. It might be a year from now, right?
Yeah, and I think that's if that becomes the intent, that's the value of the restart, and figuring out when the timeline is at which that would make sense. And again, those timelines are based on what I know right now.
Yep.
Other things could come in where, the book just never becomes as important, never becomes that top priority as it once was. And I think that's the restart is a commitment. And I think that's my one thing, is that it's a recommitment to a decision that you made a while ago that you still believe is the pathway to achieve the success that you desire.
I like that. That was super concise and super easy. I think to me, the benefits are as much as I point out to the pause, that before you make that recommitment, you've got this opportunity to step back from it and recognize, hey, maybe this wasn't the priority I thought it was. Maybe I was misrepresenting to myself what was important to me, or new information has come about, or what was going to happen happened. How many companies, I don't think Chick-fil-A thought they would be operating the way they were when COVID came along. But
no,
and now they're kind of stuck with that model where they have their employees outside and they kind of get you before you get to the drive-in, and they have a process for that. And they're never going to be able to get that to go away because people have gotten very accustomed to it. Well, maybe one day, perhaps.
Who knows? We never know what could be coming down the pathway, which might be like it's unsafe for them to be out there.
Right. Or robots.
Yeah. I mean, there's AI takes over and says, what would you like? And based on that, I'm going to come up with a response. I mean, it's all possible.
Yes.
And they could have chosen, once people were allowed to be back inside, to say, we don't, it's maybe not safe depending on our structure. And they have adjusted their structures to accommodate for people being outside in all sorts of weather. Again, we're fortunate here in Maryland where the temperature is moderate. If you were in Maine or New England or Buffalo, New York, Iowa, you might be like, yeah, I realize that this is what is real for other places. This is not what's in the best interest of our employees. And so we are going to restart the way that we did before. Yes, during COVID, we stood outside and did this. And now that is not as valuable as it once was. And we are going to restart the way we were going. Possible.
Yeah, I think that's, I think you bring up a good point that we don't know what the future is going to hold. And when we make any kind of plans, we're kind of assuming that things are going to stay very similar. And that's probably why we have resets and why we have course adjustments and all those things.
And why we encourage people, why assumptions are not always
right
the most effective way to move forward.
Yep. It's a wild week we're having.
Well,
got a lot going on.
It's a week.
Okay.
There's things happening.
Okay.
All right, everybody. If you have one thing you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments. Because clearly there's a lot to discuss and there's a lot of ways that you can consider it. And your perspective is likely, actually, I know that it's unique. And the way that you share it might have an impact on someone else that ours hasn't. So please feel free to share your one thing. And if you're listening to the podcast, we know that there's not an opportunity to share any comments there. So we encourage you to join us in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group where you can share your thoughts and ideas and your value inside of there. And who knows, while you're sharing that, you may find just the thing you have been looking for to help you take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. So we look forward to seeing you inside of that group. If not, we will see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time-ish, for our next episode of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. It's worth it. Even though we tape this, it's still worth it.
Yes. All right, everyone, go out and make it a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.